Kyle Whittingham, the head coach of the Utah Utes, had his weekly press conference yesterday, and it was kind of what you thought it would be coming off of a loss to UCLA, a disappointing performance out of his defense. Yeah, he talked about all that. He talked about Cam Rising. He talked about Devon Vele and getting the ball spread around more.
Yeah.
And he talked about the fact that you got to pay players if you want to win big-time college football. Jake, were you at all surprised that Kyle Whittingham talked about the need to pay players in today's college football?
Yeah, I think I am a little surprised that he was so, direct about it. And I want to preface this before we get to this bite. It's important to understand the question that was asked of him because the question's not in the bite. So the question was, what do you think of what Lincoln Riley's doing? Because obviously Utah is playing SC this week. So the question was, hey, what do you think of what Lincoln is doing there? And Witt said, hey, he's doing a great job and everything like that. But then he goes on to say this.
Well, trust us when we say he went on to say that you have to pay players. I don't know.
I have no idea why
Jake,
that's not
you have
happening.
failed me for the final time. Kyle Whittingham went on to say that you have to pay players in today's college football in order to compete, to get them in the transfer portal. And he straight up said, it's above board. I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong. But I guess the thing that stands out to me, Jake, is that Utah has struggled so mightily in NIL. Are you surprised that Witt is so blunt about those failings?
No, I'm not surprised about it. I mean, he straight up said that it's this situation where NIL is essentially facilitating paying players, and he's exactly right. I mean, that's the whole essence of NIL. The whole point of it is to be able to say to a kid, okay, hey, yeah, we want you to come and play in our program. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to create a deal from a sponsor with you to help grow their business and to help pay you so you benefit. That's the essence of NIL, name, image, and likeness. I mean, these guys need to be able to make money on their brand. And I think that, when Witt was talking about it, he, was kind of candid about it. He was kind of blunt about it. He was kind of salty about it, in my opinion. And I feel like, when you look at Utah and the lack of NIL, for me, it's surprising because you do have guys that are doing it. Like Cam Rising, obviously, is doing some NIL, but overall, Utah is not strong in the NIL department. Not nearly as strong as, obviously a BYU or some of these other schools in the pack who seemingly have a deal for everybody and their brother. So to me, it does very much feel like Utah's behind the curve with it. And that's why we kind of titled the show today that Utah needs a reality check, because it shouldn't be a situation where you have guys like Witt and, Nick Saban or Jimbo Fisher talking about how, hey, they're just paying guys. And that's, every guy on their roster, they're paying. It's like, well, what do you think? Like, they were already doing it. Yeah. Paying college football players goes back to Pete Carroll and SC. Like, this is not new. This is not somehow transformative. This is not some sort of rocket science level concept. We've been doing this for decades.
Yeah, but I think the issue is that right now, Utah's not competing. And I think when you look at their ability to get recruits, and you look at a game like USC and you see that you have the biggest, baddest dudes in college football coming to Sac Lake City this weekend. Mm-hmm. You're a 3.5-point favorite, but where are your NIL deals? Where are your players out doing interviews? It's just weird to me that a great institution like Utah just has never got going. And I think the question that has to be asked is, has college football, modern day college football, deliberately passed Kyle Whittingham by? And what I mean by that is, I think there's a lot of things that Kyle Whittingham doesn't like about college football. I think the money, I think the pay for play, I think the transfer portal, I think NIL. I think Kyle Whittingham, and he admitted this yesterday, he's not a big fan of that. And I think when you understand who Kyle Whittingham is, you understand he's one of the longest tenured coaches in all of college football. You understand the success he's had long before NIL got here. It's not surprising that Kyle Whittingham is frustrated with the state of college football. But I wonder, Jake, is it in the best interest of Utah to have Kyle Whittingham, and I don't know, is the right way to say it, not embracing NIL, not embracing the transfer portal? Because he specifically called out, and I guess called out might be the wrong word for it, but he specifically said, hey, USC is a prime example of how the transfer portal impacts programs because they brought a bunch of dudes in.
Yeah, basically what he was saying is that, obviously they hire Lincoln Riley. When Lincoln was at Oklahoma, he has all this talent. He goes to SC, and all of a sudden all those guys transfer to SC. And it's like, hey, I get it. I understand that you're frustrated with it, but yeah, it's probably not in the best interest of the program to have a head coach who isn't exactly dialed into NIL. And again, I'm not trying to hate on Whit, but I do think obviously the game is evolving. The situation is evolving. I mean, you can't, like, college football is very much a sport unto its own. Like, it's different than college baseball or college hockey or even college basketball. Like, college football is a sport where you have to be on the cutting edge of it. You have to constantly be pushing that envelope forward. And so for me with Whit, I look at this conversation that admittedly he didn't even bring up. Again, remember the question that was asked, which was, hey, what do you think of Lincoln Riley and what he's been able to do? And Whit goes into this whole thing, this whole soliloquy essentially about how, hey, all these guys, the NIL has essentially facilitated Lincoln's success at SC. That's essentially what Whit's point was. And on one hand, he's not wrong. It has. And it's legal. And Lincoln Riley's not doing anything wrong. But on the other hand, I understand where Whit's coming from. Like, hey, you can basically just pay to get guys into your program now. And to me, this very much feels like anything else in life that is new that gets rolled out. There are loopholes in everything. There are ways to game the system. There are ways to get an advantage. And if you're not caught, it's not illegal. And NIL is not an illegal act.
I just don't see that Kyle Whittingham is a guy that wants to play the game.
Yeah.
And listen, with all due respect, I think you have to if you are a Utah Ute fan, you have to start asking yourself if you can any longer compete with the USC.
With all due respect,
I think that's a real question because Lincoln Riley is going to win the conference championship probably 3 of the next 5 years. I mean, if he stays at USC and all things remain equal, he is going to, until they leave, I guess it would be 2 years. And then once they get to the Big Ten, they're going to be ready to win more conference championships right out of the gate. And so my guess is he's going to be in the college football playoff 3 of the next 5 years,
right?
Both in the Big Ten and in the Pac-12. And I think when you look at teams like Kyle Whittingham in Utah, you either get on the train and you accept the fate and the current situation in college football, or the train passes you by.
Absolutely.
And my biggest concern is because Whit is old-fashioned and he is not somebody that likes to, adjust the way he does business, that Utah is going to get left behind when it comes to the transfer portal and NIL. And there's only one way to fix that. And I'm not ready to say that Kyle Whittingham shouldn't be the head coach at Utah because I think he should. But I think he has to find a way to mature and grow this program and his kids and to bring in all this new talent. And if you are going to be part of their maturity and their growth process, and if that is going to help you on the field win games, you've got to play the NIL transfer portal game. And I am here to tell you, as a show that has worked our asses off to get in touch with people at Utah on NIL deals, I mean, we have people that want to spend money at Utah football, and you simply can't get in touch with anybody. And I can tell you, we've reached out to Tavion Thomas. We've reached out, multiple guys. We've reached out to a lot of guys. And it's very difficult to get those guys to answer back. It's very difficult to get those guys to engage in the NIL discussion at Utah. I can also tell you that people like Coug Connect, CougConnect.com at BYU, they are running circles around the Utes.
Yeah.
I can call a guy like Jake Brandon at Coug Connect, and I can say, hey, I'd really like to have this player on my show, a Harris LaChance. Let's pay him this much. Let's attach him to Papa Murphy's Pizza. The deals get done.
Yes.
But at Utah, you can't even get a conversation. That's the frustrating thing for me, is that you have all this talent up on the hill. They're a compelling story. They're one of the best football teams. I think Kyle Whittingham is arguably the best football coach in the history of Salt Lake City and in the state of Utah. And you can't paint that picture because it's almost impossible to do NIL deals with his guys. And I'm not just talking about interviews. I'm talking about, hey, be a spokesperson for X, Y, and Z. Appear here, all of these things that all these other players are doing, and the Utes are getting left behind on that. And it's really frustrating to me.
Yeah, and I think that you see what BYU is able to do. You see what some of these other programs are able to do as far as just building the brand. It's not even necessarily about, getting Jimmy from Texas, who's some 5-star recruit. I mean, obviously that's a big part of it, but you look at the branding that goes into, I'll just use BYU as an example. Like the Built Bar thing is the perfect example of how, NIL works. And I think that, a lot of people criticize BYU for that deal. And I think that overall, it's just a situation where Utah has to get better. We have this. So this is a little behind the scenes thing. We just tried to play this clip, right? And I just figured out why I can't play. And it's a perfect example of what happens in this town. We see it with Utah all the time. So Utah is notorious for having audio issues in their press conference.
Yes.
This is another thing of that. Basically, in English, there's only one channel of audio that they're recording Witt's press conference on, and there's another channel that is not live, which is why we can't play that sound. That's what I'm talking about. Whether it's the Jazz, Utah, or anybody not executing in marketing, NIL, branding, all of it. We have this Kalani bite that we're going to play, and it sounds perfect, right? Because BYU is good at these little things.
Yeah.
That's what's frustrating. And I think that we've talked all about how Utah, is notorious under Witt for having these great defenses, and they're not a quarterback school. I wonder, hey, if you were better at NIL, maybe you would have had a replacement for Brant Keithy. Maybe we wouldn't have to be waiting on some of these other wide receivers.
Maybe you would have a prolific wide receiver threat on the outside. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
All right, let's get your thoughts in here on NIL, just on the surface level. I'd love your comments on, is NIL good for college football? I think that is a hugely important conversation, especially in terms of the old school coaches like Kyle Whittingham, who don't want to pay players. I mean, the other guy that comes to mind in this conversation is Nick Saban, who's openly talked about the fact that he doesn't love the process. He doesn't love the portal. He doesn't love the pay-per-play thing. Is NIL good for college football?
Well, and I think, sorry, not to cut you off, I think one factor in that point, that coaches like Witt and Saban, these guys who are really successful, they're really good at what they do, they don't have the hammer over these guys anymore. They can't say to Jimmy from Poughkeepsie, hey, you have to do this because you can't transfer anywhere, right? You have to play the game a certain way because I have you over a barrel. I imagine that's frustrating for coaches in today's game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Am I Jazz fan first winning this morning? What's up, bud? Good to see you. Kenai Johnson, hey. Les Wayman, how are you? Zesty's Retro in Game says, you guys need to touch your thoughts on these terrible pass interference calls. The NFL has a real officiating problem. We'll talk about that coming up on Football 50, but they have a real deal.
This is every year we talk about this, but this year it's been pretty exaggerated.
Yep. What's up? Edwin says, morning, y'all had some Papa Murphy's last night.
Hey.
Half Thai, half chicken bacon artichoke.
Go.
Chicken bacon artichoke?
No.
Oh, my God. That sounds amazing. Artichoke hearts on pizza isn't actually half bad. And you slather it in bacon grease. I mean, what are we even talking about?
Do you put ranch on it?
Yes. You put ranch on everything. Tom Basilius, good morning to you. He says, you think Utah kids thinking about leaving Utah after the season? Probably. I mean, you have got, I mean, every school has that.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw that already this year at BYU. So I would assume Utah will lose guys. I assume they will pick up guys, you would hope. Tom also says, for once, unfortunately, and up with y'all. Okay. Okay, good to see you. Kurt Myers, hello. Good to see you. Use code Monty. Yes, Ed wins. Make sure you use the promo code Monty25.
Yes.
Use the Monty code Monty25 when you order your Papa Murphy's Pizza. You get 25% off your purchase of $25 or more. Absolutely, you should do that. And look at Provo Cougar fan. Oh, my God, I haven't been up at 6 a.m. since I retired from the Navy, but I have leftover Jacko from Monday night. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you for your service.
Now, tell me that Papa Murphy's leftover pizza is not the best leftover pizza. Like, I think it's phenomenal. Like, and I think it has to do with the crust. They have it. There's a certain saltiness in their crust that really comes through day two that I love.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, cold pizza is. You remember that used to be a show on ESPN, Cold Pizza. Yeah. But I love leftover pizza. Mrs. Monty and Mrs. Monty made this incredible vegetable soup last week for meal prep, and we were dipping pizza in it. Oh, it's over. Dude, I mean, life changed as you knew it.
Yes.
Right there. M. Alvarez, what's up with you? Good to see you, friend. Provo Cougar fan says, NIL is the future of college football. Get on the bus or get left behind.
Agreed. I mean,
straight up.
It's not one, like, I don't even think you, like, as a program, you, like, generally speaking, not even just Utah, but just across the board, you don't have time to sit here and twiddle your thumbs. Like, you have to get it going now or you will be years behind. Because think about how long it takes to build a recruiting pipeline. If you're not already on the forefront of NIL, you're already several years behind.
You're behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just no doubt about it. You got to get on board or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It really is that simple. Jesse Harsh, what's up? Hope Vegas was good to you, buddy. Says, there you go. Vegas was lit. The outcome was not great, but the fans were great, and I really wish the game was played more. Yeah, it was. That was fun. Everybody looked like they had a great time. Marquez says, spot-on analysis of BYU and Utah football. Appreciate you. Edwin says, is Kyle going to the NFL anytime soon? No. Kyle Whittingham, when he's done coaching at Utah, will be done coaching, period, I think. Listen, I wish he would embrace NIL and the transfer portal more because this offense has held Utah football back. I mean, for the 10 years I've covered the Utes, the offense has always been the issue.
Right.
I mean, dynamic, outside talent, quarterbacks. I mean, Cam's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong. But you've struggled. I mean, all the way back to Travis Wilson. You go back a pretty good way at Utah football. You've really struggled to have a dynamic throwing quarterback with really good depth at wide receiver and really good depth at running back. All at the same time. You've had good running backs. You've had good wide receivers. You haven't had a quarterback. You have a quarterback now, but you don't have great wide receiver depth.
Yeah.
You've got these issues with Tavion Thomas. Witt said yesterday Tavion Thomas is back to being number one without a doubt. You just have all these issues, and it seems like you've never been a cohesive singular unit on offense.
Yeah.
And I think now you have an offensive line that, they're not perfect, but the offensive line at Utah is playing pretty well.
Yeah.
I just wish Witt would get on the bus and use the transfer portal the way guys like Lincoln Riley do.
And I think we can play the audio bite here if you want to play it.
Kyle, sure, roll it. Look, man, first of all, that audio is dreadful.
It's terrible. Do you see what I mean?
Dreadful. The Monty Show presented by the Advocates, UtahAdvocates.com. How is it that bad? You're the University of Utah. I don't think he's wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
Witt just has to get on board and embrace that.
And it's unfortunate because, I don't disagree that there is probably some, scheming going on behind the scenes.
Schemers.
People are finding loopholes. Like, that's what happens in college football. Like, that's what we do. Like, I just don't think that we can sit here and be surprised that, hey, Lincoln Riley found a way to get the next Kyler Murray in his college football program. Like, should we be surprised? No, probably not. So I guess I just feel like, while I don't disagree with what Witt is saying there, I disagree with the mindset on it. The mindset shouldn't be, hey, this is dumb and frustrating and we shouldn't have it. The mindset should be, we have it. Whether I like that we have it or not really doesn't matter. Just like I would tell a kid that it doesn't matter whether he wants to run this play or that play, we're going to run the play. It doesn't matter if I like NIL or not. I got to get on board, and we got to get better at this because we're going to start losing that next kid from East High School who should have been a Ute but went to Provo. We're going to lose that next kid from Corner Canyon who should have been a Ute but went to BYU. That's the price you're going to pay. And that's why I'm saying, like, I love Witt. I love the X's and O's. Are they as good this year as I think they probably could have been? Probably not. They haven't executed at a high level or high enough, but they're a damn good program. And all you need is talent, and Kyle Whittingham's going to take you places. So he just got to get on board now.
Yeah, it's tough to. I mean, he's just got to get on board now thing is very difficult.
Yeah.
It is. And it's one of the things that I really appreciate about Kalani. I think Kalani largely has gotten on board. I think Kalani is somebody, but again, Kalani's is younger, hipper, faster. And I think Kalani has a lot more challenges at BYU. Obviously, with the honor code, the atmosphere, the lifestyle on campus in Provo is very different than the lifestyle, up on the hill. I just think you have a different set of circumstances in Provo. You have a different set of challenges in recruiting. And, you mentioned, it's funny you talk about, places like East High School is across the street from Utah.
Literally.
There's just no reason that Kyle Whittingham, the word is not struggle, because I think Kyle and his guys do a really good job recruiting, but you're missing opportunities. You're missing an entire avenue to add guys to your football team. And the game is just so dramatically changed. But if you're a kid, and you're in the portal, and let's just be honest about where Utah is. If you're a quarterback in the portal right now, if you were Jackson Dart, did you ever look at Utah?
No.
You didn't, but did you look at BYU? You did. You look at a kid like, a Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson should have been a Utah Ute, but he was going to go to Boise, and then he went to BYU, right? Like, there's just something flawed in the process, and it is since Kalani's gotten to BYU, and I think Bronco, it's funny, I think Bronco and Witt were very similar guys in this situation.
Yes.
You look at the way that Bronco did business. I don't think Bronco is an NIL portal guy. And we'll see. I mean, I think Bronco's going to coach again. Very clearly he's going to coach again. But I just think this story right now is a huge story if you're a Ute fan. And the biggest stories in sports, as always, presented by Quick Quack Car Wash right here on the Monty Show. Make sure you get your car to a Quick Quack Car Wash. They're all over the state, certainly all over the valley. Those are great local car wash owners. Go and support local businesses, friends, and that includes Quick Quack Car Wash. It's fun. Put the kids in the car. Go get the car wash. There's nothing better than opening the sunroof. Okay, don't open the sunroof in the car wash. Like the shade.
That's pretty much self-explanatory.
So that they can see through the sunroof.
Right, through the glass in a concealed space.
You want to keep the sunroof good. Anyway, my point is, bring your kids. Let them look through the sunroof. Let them look through the windows, see the different colors. And again, I will say the best part about Quick Quack Car Wash, they smile. They're friendly. They're nice people, which is so refreshing. The level of service you get from Quick Quack Car Wash is phenomenal. So go get your membership today. Tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. And then send me pictures. I love that you guys are commenting. Yesterday, people tweeting a picture of a pizza at us.
Yes.
Tweet us pictures of your Quick Quack experience.
We love to see it.
Absolutely. Tweet us Tweet us. The
Go
Monty
through
Show.
the drive-through, go through the tunnel, and take a picture of the colors. Just that's all you got to do.
Yep. MONTY, the Monty Show on Twitter is where you find us. I think this Kyle Whittingham story is a big story. I think this is the biggest story in sports this morning, that the head coach at a Pac-12 school straight up said yesterday that he doesn't necessarily embrace NIL in the transfer portal. That Yeah, I don't know, Jake. I don't think that audio's playing.
Is it not?
It's not playing.
I'm telling you, it's garbage.
I'm telling you,
it's absolutely garbage.
This is crazy. Like, look at everybody saying there's no wit sound. So I kid you not, and I know we talk about this on this show all the time.
Like,
and I'm going to play this Kalani bite right now because I want you to understand.
Yeah.
Just so you understand what I'm saying. This is the issue with Utah, the Utah Jazz. Like, how is your audio this bad? Listen to how good Kalani's audio is.
We didn't get Puka a ball, so that's frustrating. And so, I think when you only have 40, how many plays do we have total? 46? That's not going to do it. And so part of that is defense get off the field and offense get first downs and keep drives going. And just get more efficient football from our team. I think what Notre Dame did was right. Own the clock, be balanced, run the ball, throw the ball, and that's what we should be doing.
Wow. By the way, how pissed is that guy?
Dude.
But look how clean the audio is. You can actually hear it. Like, it's so frustrating.
I just don't understand it,
that
man.
you cannot. Can I? I'm sorry. Can I say so? I'm listening to you guys on my Bluetooth, and I thought something went wrong with my speaker. No.
Hello,
Utah.
hello. Is this thing on?
Hello, are the Utes here, please? My point is, we got to talk about that sound here in 2 minutes. But
yeah.
My point is, I think BYU is running circles around Utah, and it's impacting them in recruiting. When you have Kyle Whittingham saying he doesn't, Whit yesterday said, we don't embrace the transfer portal.
That's right, T.
That's not something he likes. It's not something like he doesn't believe in paying players. He was asked, how do you get players? You pay them. You pay them that. And he said, and it's not like anybody's doing anything wrong. It's all above board. He's just not comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Utah is getting left behind in NIL.
Yep.
Utah's getting left behind in the transfer portal. Utah's getting left behind in the state of Utah in recruiting. You can't tell me when you compare BYU and Utah, BYU's dominating NIL. I think BYU is dominating recruiting in this state. You look at the talent, and now the result on the field this year hasn't been there for BYU, and you see that bite from Kalani. He's clearly frustrated, but you are getting the talent in Provo. So
Jesse Harsh's comment right there.
In the audio rivalry, BYU is undefeated. Suck it, Utes. Wow. Wow. How do you have I wish you guys could hear it.
Dude.
Not only is it only on one channel on the audio track, but there's it's the Utah Jazz audio
And
system.
for those of you who don't
there's
know, when you record audio,
keep talking.
To record audio, there's typically two channels. When you only record it on one, like Utah does yesterday, you can't use it. You can't hear it. And so I tried to do my best to make it work, and clearly it didn't work. God.
I need to work on my cardio levels so I can imitate the hiss on people's audio streams for longer amounts of time. I don't get it. Anyway, all right, your thoughts. Tanner says I've always wondered why When Lisa Wilson's friend gives one-word answer, she says it 3 times. If she was offered drugs, would she say maybe, maybe, maybe?
No, no, no.
No, she wouldn't. I don't think so. By the way, please, somebody has got to peer pressure Lisa Wilson into coming on this show because she is not answering my messages anymore.
No, no, no.
That's her answer. She's like, no.
No, no, no.
You know, well, you need to message Lisa Wilson. Like everybody, get on Instagram and message Lisa Wilson and make her come on this show. Make her, tell her, we want you, baby.
Whoa.
Like, what? Anyway, her name, what is her name? Her name is Life According the number 2, Lisa. Get after it, man. She's got to come on the show.
Yeah, follow Zachy Poo's lead, you know? Oh, that's not what you meant.
We won't call him Zachy.
That's not what you meant. Okay, my bad.
She is a cougar, though.
That's right, T.
I still think that growl she does, that's Lisa Wilson doing it, not Zach's mom. Or not Travis, it's Zach's mom. There's too many Wilsons in this state. Provo Cougar fan says, look how important NIL has been to the walk-on players. Yeah, you're paying tuition.
And what did BYU do? They turned it into a marketing piece. So now everybody and their mom knows that all walk-ons are covered because of some bar company that makes protein bars.
You know.
Come on.
Greasy Hand Sean Butterfield just says, ha, 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 ha. You know.
Yeah, man.
It's fine. Kurt Myers says, rumors are that Texas is having second thoughts about joining the SEC and may stay put in the Big 12. I don't know that that's true.
I doubt that.
Yeah, I don't know that that's true. I don't. Caleb Alamore says, how about that Big 12 championship race? Is the second best conference top to bottom? You know, it's interesting. A lot of people have asked me about that as well. Like, hey, where's the Big 12? They're better and you're not giving them any credit. Well, I mean, obviously with what Leipold and Kansas are doing, they lost this weekend, obviously. But the Big 12 is a better football conference this year than it's been in many years. And it's because the bottom half of the conference has come up.
They're getting off to a good start this year. That's what I would say. I think that, and I'm not even interested in discrediting what they've done. They've had a great start. I mean, there's just no way around that. And I think, yeah, they're playing great football. But I also think that you have to look at a number of things, whether it's scheduling, whether it's, how they would fare against the, top tier Big Ten talent, because I have news for you. Even if the Big Ten is top heavy, which obviously it is, even with that being the case, I still would take, a great Penn State team most years over, Kansas. I think most people would do that. This year is a little bit different because obviously there are some programs in the Big 12 doing some things. So if we get to, week 8, week 10, and you're still doing what you're doing in the Big 12, then yeah, I think you got a shot to be the second best conference. But until then, it remains to be seen. I always come back to the question of, okay, if the bottom team in the Big 12 played and the bottom team in the Big 10 played, who would win that game?
Well,
that's my question.
Yeah, and I think you look at the standings in the Big 12, and I don't think there's any doubt that K-State's going to beat Oklahoma this year. Venables has a huge project on his hands now, thanks to Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
But, you look at the bottom of the conference, Oklahoma, Iowa State, West Virginia, Texas Tech, and Baylor. Those 5 teams have not historically been at the bottom of the Big 12 when it comes to football. And then I think you look at Kansas, Kansas and Texas are 2-1. TCU, Okie State, and Kansas State are undefeated. And I still maintain that Oklahoma State's the best team in that conference. Of course, I could be wrong. But I think, at the end of the day, it is because the conference is flipped right now.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody saw Kansas and K-State doing what they're doing.
With all due respect.
How long have we all been waiting on TCU to come back?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And then you bring in those teams next year, man, including Brigham. And we'll see exactly what happens. The answer is I don't know. But I want to play this Kalani Sitake bite again because I think we have got to get to BYU here because, this Jaron Hall situation where he's now dealing with this injury that has required him in his shoulder, that's required him to take multiple shots. And It's the same old song and dance at BYU. And one of the questions I would ask you about BYU is at what point do you make changes to your strength and conditioning staff? Because the injuries are not – this is not typical. Well, for BYU it is.
All I have to
And
say
that's
is
the
here
problem.
we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Every year we're dealing with this.
Yeah, and you listen to Kalani. This is not a coach that's happy about what's going on with his team.
We didn't get Puka a ball, so that's frustrating. And so, I think when you only have 40, how many plays do we have total? 46. That's not going to do it. And so, part of that is defense get off the field, and offense get first downs and keep drives going, and just get more efficient football from our team. I think what Notre Dame did was right. Own the clock, be balanced, run the ball, throw the ball, and that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, I mean that bottle slam at the end, Jake, when he loaded that video in this morning, he's like, hey, you got to see Kalani Sitake's going to, slam this bottle down a little bit. Like, that's a very telling
You don't see him
thing.
do that very much. And
No.
I know it's not some huge throw it across the room thing, but you don't see Kalani do that.
Yeah, and I think you got to start looking at A-Rod a little bit in this offense. The running game, I can almost understand. I don't feel like right now that you have a number one running back. I feel like you have a bunch of ors, like looking at the depth chart for the Arkansas game. I feel like you have a bunch of ands. Chris Brooks is your number one. He's gotten off to a slow start, just like the entire team has for the last month. He's trying to find his legs. Like, I just think there's a lot of adjustments that need to happen. The play calling's got to dramatically improve. I mean, you listen to the first thing that Kalani said there, didn't get Puka the ball. How's that possible?
Yeah.
And now the good news is it sounds like you're going to have Gunner back. There were a lot of people worried about him. Sounds like that injury was far overblown. So if you're going to play Arkansas and you're going to have Puka.
Sorry, who?
Arkansas.
Okay.
Jera's, alumni.
Jera.
He's an alumni at
Mosquitoes.
Skaters. Testicles. Anyway, the point is, what did he say?
Hey,
Gonna pour him vasectomies on them skaters.
you got to circumcise the mosquitoes.
What?
That's what he said.
Jerry Jones.
It's
Man,
crazy.
They're cracking Texas, though. Anyway, the point is,
Yeah.
Arkansas is a really good team. KJ Jefferson's going to play. He's out of concussion protocol, so they're going to have their quarterback back.
Yeah.
That's a team that's reeling. BYU, frankly, is a team that's reeling. And I think you're looking for answers at BYU. And we talked about it at length yesterday. I don't know how else you fix this offense, but with better play calling.
Yeah.
And I know they like being aggressive, but how are you going to be aggressive when Jaron Hall's just not throwing the ball?
I want better fucking execution.
Again, I say this, and it's frustrating to me that we're going to have this conversation. Look, if he's not good to go, play Jacob Conover.
Yes.
Because what happened on Saturday in Vegas can't happen again. You should have won that game.
Yeah.
You feel like that was a winnable ball game. I don't know. Was Oregon a winnable game? Probably not. BYU was versus Notre Dame was a winnable game. You had that game in your hands, and you start to wonder now, did Jaron prevent them from winning that game? I mean, the early turnover certainly didn't help.
That wasn't on A-Rod. I was thinking about what you said yesterday. But that decision.
But wasn't it, though? Wasn't it, though? I mean, if you're going to come out with a quarterback that's got a shoulder issue that you knew about, and you're going to call a deep shot right out of the gate?
You think that's why that ball was like that?
Yeah,
because
I do.
he's hurt?
He's a wonderful thrower of the football.
Yeah.
When he's healthy.
I mean, clearly there's an issue.
Listen, Jaron has shown us that when he's healthy and he stands in the pocket, he can deliver the football. He's not the guy that has to run to be effective anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, the work he did with John Beck over the summer very clearly made a difference.
Yeah.
But you can't call a deep shot right out of the gate with a guy that's got a bum shoulder.
Yeah, and I also think, philosophically speaking, when you head into these big games, you got to get Jaron in his groove first and the offense into a flow.
Well,
I think.
But how do you do that?
Well, you throw 5-6 yard under routes. Get some completions under your belt first, and I also think that Yes, the offense needs development. Yes, they do.
But what sense does any of this offense stuff make as we talk BYU football on the Monty Show, presented by Barbecue Pit Stop, bbqpitstop.com. Make sure you find any of their 5 Utah locations, from St. George to Logan, Lehigh, Layton, and, of course, our good friends in Salt Lake City at the Murray store. That's why I bought my Traeger Ironwood 885 at the Barbecue Pit Stop in Murray. They're fabulous to do business with. Get online, chat with them today, bbqpitstop.com. But listen, when you look at the issues on this offense, the 10 men on defense thing, I don't get that. Couple of weeks ago, lining up in the neutral zone, 64 straight snaps. I don't get that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was 64. That
But
could be
still,
an exaggeration.
that's
My
what it
point
feels like,
is,
though. That's what it feels like.
but my point is, lining up in the neutral zone and 10 men on the field is the exact same penalty in my mind. It's a mental error. On offense, I don't think we're seeing mental errors. I think we are seeing self-inflicted damage with poor play calling. This rotation on the right side of the line, Harris LaChance should be playing every single snap at right guard.
Yeah.
Period. Kingsley Suamataia and Harris LaChance, I think, have been phenomenal as a tandem on the right side. They've only gotten better chemistry-wise. But when you're rotating running backs, when it's Miles Davis and Christopher Brooks and Peeney and, okay, there's instability in the backfield. There's instability on the right side of the line. We have instability in the play calling, so Puka's not getting the ball, and we're calling a deep shot that Jaron either couldn't or didn't believe he could make, and that he didn't want to throw it, and hesitation. These are self-inflicted wounds. And the thing that I see here is I see an ever-evolving Kalani Sitake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's playing Mr. Nice Guy anymore. When you see him,
Yeah.
I can't think of maybe 2 or 3 times I've ever seen him frustrated like this. And significant change has come from that. And I'm hoping significant change comes from this frustration.
Where is Aaron right now?
And I'm not telling you to fire Roderick. I'm not. But there has to be a significant change in the way you call plays. If Jaron's hurt and he is in the game, let's not come out of the gate throwing a deep shot. Let's come out of the gate. Why? And if you're struggling to run the ball, let's run some RPO.
Y'all feel me?
With the intention of pitching that ball outside.
Yeah.
Why is that so difficult? Why are we not flexible and pliable offensively in the play calling? Why are we not working the middle of the field anymore? Is that not who Isaac Rex is? Is Braden Cosper not that guy? Is Mason Wake, who played, he's healthy, he's back in the lineup, throw him the football over the middle. Throw in the football in the flat. Mason Wake has shown you he can catch the football. Why are we limiting ourselves to a quarter of the playbook when it comes to routes?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that. How long have we been sitting here calling for Cody Epps?
Yeah.
You know what the problem is? The ball didn't go to Puka Nacua. Is that why Cody Epps had the game he had? No. Cody Epps is a hell of a receiver. Throw the ball to Puka Nacua, and here's a novel idea. Throw the ball to Gunnar Romney, and, okay, let's get really crazy. Throw the ball to Cody Epps, too.
Keep it real.
Oh, my God. Spread the field. Are you serious?
How did you think of that? I mean,
You know what? I smoked some ayahuasca, which you don't smoke, you drink. It's tea. Still,
Donnie,
I grinded
please.
it up. I put it in some coffee, which I've never drank, and I had some clarity. Anyway, the point is, it's basic football, MFers.
I often feel that way about BYU, whether we're talking
But
about
you need ayahuasca to tolerate it?
Yes, in fact, yes. That
Dadgummit.
I often feel like whether we're talking about the point you just made or whether we're talking about playing dime on first down against the run, like, what are we doing? It's simple X's and O's basics of football that they're just not doing.
James Griffin says, "Sup, boys, listening from the gym. Let's go."
Let's go, pump iron.
Wait, what's the gym?
I mean,
You and Jim, like Jimmy, are listening
Do
together?
you even lift?
Oh, the gym. The gymnasium where we used to do that.
yeah,
We used to.
well,
We got to get back after it, kid.
Yeah.
What do you bench?
No, you do. You're fat. Not me. Whatever. Mark asks, good morning, Sitake. Love approach has to turn into tough love. with his players and coaches. Totally
Well,
agree
and I
with
think
that.
you've seen that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and not give him credit for being hard on his guys. I mean, he's clearly sitting there pissed off.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Tanner says, how well do you guys think this BYU coaching staff handles adversity? I think they made fantastic in-game. Tuiaki's adjustments in the second half, phenomenal. I mean, obviously, now how do I say this gently?
Just say it. I think.
Hey,
yeah.
Jerky, why are we zoning up Michael Mayer?
Well, they don't know who Michael Mayer is. Michael Mayer's 87 or some guy who plays tight end.
How about Ben Bywater after the game
Jesus
being like,
Christ.
yeah, that Mark Meyer kid can really play.
You're a douche.
What? Like, they don't – I've heard probably 4 or 5 Cougs talking about Michael Mayer, and they've either called him 87 or they've called him Meyer. Mayer is not Meyer. It's Michael Mayer. If you don't know his name after Saturday night, now, Tuiaki, I don't know why you came out in zone Saturday. No idea. That was not a good idea.
We specifically talked about it. And this is what I'm saying. Like, as I listen to you make these points, I'm sitting here like, dude, I remember last Tuesday us having a discussion about how you can't allow Drew Pine and good old Mikey Poo to get it going in the passing game. You can't allow that to happen. How do you allow that to happen? Yeah, go ahead and roll your dime package in on first down and drop 8 and see what it is. And that's exactly what they did, and they tore that ass up.
You know, the thing I don't understand is this idea that this secondary can't cover.
Yeah.
Like, you only play nickel and dime at the volume that BYU does if you don't think you can cover. They can cover.
Like, I would
Micah
be
Harper,
okay.
has Micah not been a revelation at safety?
Yes.
I mean, and the other thing is Ben Bywater has played very well.
That's right, T.
He has played very well. And I think, obviously he is a smaller guy, but I thought Max Tooley, I thought when they bodied up Michael Mayer, it made his life much more difficult. Now, I mean, the guy made 3-4 phenomenal catches in man that had nothing to do with the coverage.
Yeah.
I thought Micah was in his jersey at one point.
But you can live with that.
Yes.
If the dude's talent is just going to overcome and your guy did everything he could do, played good defense, was right on him, and he still makes the catch, okay, you're just better than us. That's fine. But what I can't get down with is this concept of, hey, he's running a seam route through the middle of our defense and all our guys just want to hand him off to the safety.
Yeah.
And then he's wide open. That can't happen.